You're gonna love this.
I'm good, actually.
It's not gonna bite you. Come on, try it.
Please, God, I'm begging you, do not let me die tonight.
That was from an HBO TV series called Euphoria, so don't worry, nobody got hurt. The reason why I showed it is that there's a very weird culture on drugs in America. Drugs popping up on screens everywhere. The United States is one of the only two countries that legally allow direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical advertising, meaning drug companies can put their ads between SpongeBob episodes or news programs. According to the American Addiction Center's research in 2022, one illicit drug use scene is shown on TV in about every 112 minutes. 1/5 of primetime TV programs mention illicit drug use, and 3% depict illicit drug use. Drugs are present in nearly half of all music videos. The average teenager is exposed to nearly 85 drug references a day in popular music. Project No analyzed over 70,000 TV scripts, and this is their conclusion. We found that comedies accounted for a whopping 41% of the total drug-related mentions, and that the category far surpassed drama and crime. It seems that drug and alcohol plotlines are most often mined for humor and ignore or minimize the serious effects of substance use and abuse. Such light-hearted depictions can leave viewers with a skewed vision of the roles these substances play in reality. Drug taking is a normalized, life-consuming issue that has become representative of American culture.
This is the News Times, where everyone tells us we can find pages and pages of advertisement for pain management clinics. Here we have Stop the Pain, $100 off your first visit.
And if you think these are real clinics, you're wrong. Many of these advertised clinics are known as pill mills. A pill mill could be a single doctor, a clinic, or a pharmacy. They dispense narcotics to people for non-medical reasons.
They tell you, what did the people tell you?
Just that he could get treated for his pain, that they would, give him pain medication and
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
That is our typical pain management customer. They've come from Kentucky, they've driven all night, or they've driven all day. They're staying in some hotel along the beach because they usually will visit the beach, and then they're here just to go to the pain clinics. So, my guess is that they can be treated in Kentucky or any of the other states that they drove through. It's they cannot be treated in the manner or fashion that they want to be treated, which is simply they just want the pills.
It blows your mind if you know the scale these pill mills are operating on. In 2014, several executives were charged with unlawful distribution of nearly 70 million opioid pills and over 30 million doses of other commonly abused prescription drugs to Houston area pill mill. In a small community in West Virginia, with a population less than 400 people, a single pharmacy dispensed 9 million hydrocodone pills over 2 years. In Williamson, population 2,900, manufacturers shipped 20.8 million opioid pills to 2 pharmacies only 4 blocks apart over 10 years. In the last 2 cases, the government responded with new laws that required drug wholesalers who shipped opioids to take greater responsibility for reporting suspicious quantities to the Drug Enforcement Agency to help prevent pill mills from forming. Quite a meager response, don't you think? Considering the tens of millions of pills distributed. Who knows how many people got hooked there?
These guys all here, fentanyl, is that the story?
Yeah, fentanyl, yeah.
Jeez.
Fentanyl, trank.
Knocked on Jax's door. When I opened the door, Jax was slumped over on the bed, and I just, screamed for my husband.
This is me shooting right here, and it goes to, it's trying to come out my skin.
And every day it just feels so unfair because it feels like it could have been prevented if he had known more.
All I want to do is drugs and die.
The US government has seemingly made combating the drug problem a priority. Over the past 2 administrations, they've made a lot of noise about it.
If you break the law and illegally peddle these deadly poisons, we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will hold you accountable.
Launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking, with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border.
Yes, talking tough, blaming others, we get that. But the problem is, this isn't the first American drug crisis. It's happened again and again, in cycles. It's acknowledged by American officials.
The first wave of opioid deaths began in the late 1990s with an increase in overdose deaths involving prescription opioids. The second wave began in 2010 with a noticeable rise in overdose deaths involving heroin. The third most recent and deadliest wave began in 2013 with a sharp increase in overdose deaths involving synthetic opioids, particularly illicitly manufactured fentanyl and related substances.
In the mid-1980s and early 1990s, a neurologist and pain specialist named Russell Portney claimed that the risks of addiction to opioids were minimal and that not treating pain was cruel. He later became known as the King of Pain and became so influential that regulatory agencies wrote guidelines following his preaching.
Addiction, when treating pain, is distinctly uncommon. If a person does not have a history, a personal history of substance abuse, and does not have a history in the family of substance abuse, and does not have a very major psychiatric disorder, most doctors can feel very assured that that person is not going to become addicted.
It turned out that Dr. Portney and his pain center received millions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies. Chief among them were Purdue Pharma, the manufacturer of oxycodone. Portney admitted to having financial relationships with many companies that produce opioid painkillers. Later, Purdue Pharma paid $600 million for misbranding oxycodone. But based on available information in 2017, oxycodone had generated $35 billion of cumulative revenue for the company. Portney wasn't alone. According to a CNN and Harvard University analysis, in 2014 and 2015, of the 811,000 doctors who wrote prescriptions to Medicare patients, nearly half wrote at least one prescription for opioids. More than 200,000 physicians received a payment from pharmaceutical companies that make opioids. Among doctors in the top 25th percentile of opioids prescribers by volume, 72% received payments. Among the top 5th percentile, 84% did. Among the top 10th of 1%, 95% did. And for those ranked among top 5%, they received twice as much money from opioids manufacturers compared to those in the median. The top 1% received 4 times as much. The top 10th of 1% received 9 times more money than the average. That's the incentive. The more you prescribe, the more you get paid. I get that it's hard to say no to that much money, but what about the patients? Can they really take that much opioids? More importantly, do they even need it?
I had a daughter who was prescribed OxyContin, and she died as a result. She had a backache, and her doctor prescribed it.
He's supposed to be a doctor, you know, and he's not supposed to, you know, hurt somebody.
Had FDA enforced the law, Purdue never would have been allowed to promote its products for these conditions.
These medical professionals, let me make clear, are operating no different than any drug dealer. They are simply donning white coats.
The fact is, the pharmaceutical industry is one of the most difficult industries in the United States to be regulated. In the year 2023 to 2024 alone, the industry had given nearly $1.5 billion to political candidates in both parties. In 2020, it funded more than 2,400 state lawmakers. It's reported that 84% and 82% of lawmakers in Louisiana and California, respectively, cashed checks from pharma companies. 2/3 of members of Congress did it too. I won't go as far as saying that the pharmaceutical industry controls the US politics, but it's safe to say that the senators and representatives owe them a lot of favors. That gets us back to the beginning of the video, where you see drug ads all over the TV. It's a cycle. There's a demand for drugs. People do it, demand more, do more, the industry grows. Then it gets so rich and powerful that they can skirt the regulations and force-feed Americans with more ads, more products. On and on it goes. And that's the problem. Americans are getting hyped because of Americans. And the American government isn't doing anything useful and can't do anything substantial to stop it. Well, blaming others might be the only thing they can do. And it doesn't work.